Welcome to Star Bios, the podcast where we dive into the fascinating lives of Hollywood's most beloved stars. I'm your host, Casey Gold, and today we're shining the spotlight on the one and only George Burns. With a career spanning over 7 decades, George Burns left an indelible mark on the entertainment industry, and it all began in the humblest of surroundings. Born Nathan Birnbaum on January 20, 1896, in New York City's Lower East Side, George grew up in a Jewish family with roots in Romania. His father, Louis Birnbaum, was a struggling garment worker, and his mother, Dora Birnbaum, was a homemaker who took care of their 5 children. The family lived in a small tenement apartment on Rivington Street, where the sounds of Yiddish theater and the smells of traditional Jewish cuisine filled the air. Growing up on the Lower East Side had a profound impact on George's life and career. He was surrounded by the vibrant culture of Yiddish theater, which would later influence his comedic style and writing. The neighborhood was home to numerous Yiddish theaters, including the famous Thalia Theater, where George would often sneak in to watch performances. These early exposures to the world of entertainment sparked a fire within him, and he began to dream of a life on stage. As a child, George attended PS 147, a local elementary school, where he developed a passion for performing and making people laugh. He was especially drawn to the vaudeville shows that came to town, featuring performers like Charlie Chaplin and the Marx Brothers. George's early fascination with these entertainers would later shape his own unique style of comedy. In 1909, at the age of 13, George dropped out of school to pursue a career in show business. He began performing in local talent shows and singing in street corners, honing his craft and developing his unique style. He worked various odd jobs, including selling newspapers and running errands for local merchants, to help support his family. These early experiences taught him the value of a dollar and the importance of hard work, traits that would serve him well throughout his career. As George navigated his teenage years, he began to explore the world beyond his neighborhood. He discovered the Orpheum Theater, a popular vaudeville venue, where he would often sneak in to watch performances. It was during this period that George met other aspiring performers, including a young Eddie Cantor, who would later become a close friend and mentor. The early 1910s were a time of great transformation for George. He began to perform in various vaudeville theaters, sharing the stage with other up-and-coming performers. Though he was still developing his craft, George's natural charm and charisma began to shine through, laying the groundwork for his future success. As we explore George Burns' early life, it's clear that his experiences shaped him into the talented and resilient individual he became. From his humble beginnings on Rivington Street to his early days in vaudeville, George was driven by a passion for performance and a desire to make people laugh. George's big break came when he met Gracie Allen, a talented performer who would become not only his partner on stage, but also in life. The two began performing together in 1922, and their unique chemistry quickly made them a hit in vaudeville. They developed a signature style, with George playing the straight man to Gracie's charming ditzy persona. This dynamic duo traveled the country, entertaining audiences with their witty banter and comedic sketches. As vaudeville began to decline, George and Gracie transitioned to radio, where they became one of the most popular comedy teams of the 1930s. Their show, The Burns and Allen Show, was a huge success, featuring a mix of music, comedy, and clever writing. The couple's on-air chemistry was undeniable, and their fans loved them for it. In the 1950s, George and Gracie made the leap to television, starring in their own sitcom, The George Burns and Gracie Allen Show. This pioneering series was one of the first to feature a fictionalized version of the stars' real-life relationship. The show's clever writing, combined with George and Gracie's undeniable charm, made it an instant hit. The couple's banter and comedic timing were still as sharp as ever, and their on-screen chemistry remained undeniable. One of the key factors behind the success of The George Burns and Gracie Allen Show was its innovative format. Each episode featured George breaking the fourth wall, addressing the audience directly and sharing his thoughts on the events unfolding on screen. This clever device added a new layer of humor to the show and helped to establish George as a master of comedic storytelling. As Gracie's health began to decline in the late 1950s, George continued to work in television, appearing in various shows and specials. He also began to pursue other passions, including writing and producing. In 1975, George published his memoir, I Love Her, That's Why, which offered a heartfelt tribute to Gracie and their life together. Throughout his career, George Burns was driven by a passion for making people laugh and a desire to entertain. As he once said, happiness is having a large, loving, caring, close-knit family in another city. This quote captures the essence of George's humor and his ability to find joy in the everyday moments of life. He paved the way for future generations of comedians and entertainers, inspiring countless performers with his unique style and irrepressible charm. As the 1960s and 1970s unfolded, George continued to work in television, appearing in various shows and specials. He also began to pursue other passions, including writing and producing. In 1975, George published his memoir, I Love Her, That's Why, which offered a heartfelt tribute to Gracie and their life together. The book was a huge success, and it cemented George's reputation as a talented writer and storyteller. In the 1980s, George experienced a resurgence in popularity, thanks in part to his starring role in the hit film, Oh, God. The movie, which told the story of an ordinary man who is chosen by God to spread his message, showcased George's unique blend of humor and warmth. The film was a huge success, and it led to 2 sequels, solidifying George's status as a beloved figure in American entertainment. Throughout his later years, George remained committed to his craft, continuing to perform and entertain audiences well into his 90s. He became known for his sharp wit and clever one-liners, often incorporating current events and pop culture into his act. As he once said, when I'm on stage, I'm the happiest man in the world. And when I'm not on stage, I'm the unhappiest man in the world. This quote captures the essence of George's passion for performing and his dedication to making people laugh. In 1996, George passed away at the age of 100, leaving behind a legacy as one of America's most beloved comedians. His impact on American comedy is still felt today, with countless performers citing him as an inspiration. From his early days in vaudeville to his later years in television and film, George Burns remained a true original, a master of comedic storytelling who continues to entertain and inspire audiences around the world. As we conclude our journey through the life of George Burns, it's clear that his legacy extends far beyond his own body of work. He paved the way for future generations of comedians and entertainers, inspiring countless performers with his unique style and irrepressible charm. And as we remember George Burns, we're reminded of the power of comedy to bring people together and transcend time. Thanks for joining us on this journey through the life of a true American legend. That's all for today's Star Bios. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, I'm Casey Gold reminding you to keep shooting for the stars.